I'm not sure what to call this, but this is what it is. Uh, and it's something that a lot of people I see, and myself personally, uh, have struggled with for decades. I'm 32 now, so going on like 3 decades. Um, but you see it in people who flock to things and services that offer that which will help you find your, quote unquote, purpose. That will help you fix your game with the opposite sex or the same sex, with finding a mate, with finding your job, with finding that which will get that monkey off your back. That monkey being that part of you that's being interpreted, key language here, that's being interpreted mistakenly by us as something that's looking for finality. We had this in the service. It's just something that really rings true for me, is that for Marines, we're known for what's called taking the hill. Stay with me here. If you take a hill, you're let's say, shooing the enemy forces off of the hill that they're occupying. So you're looking to take the high ground, essentially. And what they would tell us is this: the fight starts when you reach the top of the hill. Right? We say life is an uphill battle. Maybe that's true, but the thing that kind of implies, and that's connected to this topic, is that we want to reach the top of the hill so that we can just breathe a sigh of relief and be done with having to charge up the hill into the oncoming fire, into our fears, into our anxieties and insecurities and all this stuff. But the fight doesn't actually start until we reach the top of the hill. So what does that mean? That means that we have to be the ones that give us a break on the way to the top of the hill. We have to be the ones that recognize, okay, I'm burning out here. So in cases where I burn out, I need to, have good, healthy communication and boundaries by saying no to people who are unknowingly looking to stretch us thinner and thinner. So what does that mean? That means that there is no finality. Metaphysically, spiritually, what this means, or how this applies a little more directly, is that we are consciousness. We are not our bodies. We are that which inhabits our bodies, that which outside of space-time manifested our own bodies, like the sequence of events that led to our consciousness being birthed into this material plane. And so for consciousness, it's never over. It's continuously ongoing. But for the body, it gets tired. It needs rest. It needs sleep. It needs a break. And our consciousness is like a toddler or a puppy when it's, on and has all that energy to burn. That is what the French call joie de vivre, the Holy Spirit, the joy of living, what some may call our inner child wanting to come out and play. This rush of energy, if we're constantly trying to, shoo it away or negate it, especially if we internalize that in childhood, of having all this energy and, slowly but surely our environment, people in our environment tell us to knock it off, to be quiet, shoo us away, well, then we end up learning that that's the standard operating procedure, the correct course of action whenever that energy comes out to play. No, no, no. Truly, what needs to happen is we need to learn through trial and error, no other way, through experimentation, through play. Maybe even applying that good scientific method to see, okay, in this life, how do I like to play? What is it that allows me to be engaged with the present? And you see this in people who have suffered deep traumas, is that whenever they have to be present, that's when the anxiety kicks in. Really, it's just energy that we habitually learned, reflexively, reactively learned to label as anxiety or as really unwanted energy. But in having to be present, defensively, our nervous system is like, okay, the last time we had to be truly present and didn't want to be present, where there was resistance to being present, is when that traumatic event occurred. And so we have to really come into the present moment and be like, okay, well, now it's safe, so right now I can play again. It's safe to play again. And for me personally, I put that off for so long. I put off living for so long because I was waiting for some sort of confirmation that it was safe to do what I wanted to do. To be who I wanted to be rather than who I either needed to be or thought others wanted me to be. Who I thought others wanted me to be. And so that kept me from playing and enjoying life, except when it would happen by kind of happenstance, where my subconscious led me, guided me, channeled me into the set of circumstances that would allow me to breathe that sigh of relief. And what I learned, especially through so many healing modalities, breathing exercises, meditation, but the first thing that really kick-started me out of that state of hiding was psychedelics. People talk about cannabis as medicinal, and truly it can be. But you see this a lot in people who take medications, is that they're looking for this thing to fix their problem. What the medication does is alleviate the symptoms long enough for us to become present and to then start to engage with life. That is to say, to help us change our habits. Because if medication, be it prescription pharmaceuticals or marijuana or a drink or a glass of wine, a cigarette, a coffee, food, whatever it is that we use to medicate and help us feel okay with the moment, sedate our inner demons or whatever. If we become too reliant on it, well, then that's like a person who's, just leaning completely all of their weight on their crutch or crutches. It's like being, in a wheelchair and the person's legs are fine. Hashtag Ricky Bobby. But yeah, there is no final state. There is no event that will allow us to start living. That's something that we have to do on our own. There is no thing outside of us that will yield permission there's nothing outside of us that's saying, okay, you're good, start living. You're good, the demons are gone. You can take a break now. Like, how many people have you heard who speak in such a way that, like, you know, when this thing is done, I'll be able to relax. And then another thing comes, and that permission to relax keeps getting pushed further and further and further. When we finish this project, I'll be fine. I'll relax. I'll breathe. I'll do the meditation. I'll do the thing. Tomorrow I'll start my diet. The hardest thing is to start. It's the hardest thing to initiate and then recommit and then like initiate and then create momentum. But it starts with it can start with a thought, right? Like an affirmation. An affirmation will work if you keep feeding it momentum. Right? I am safe. Right? No one's attacking me. That's also true. I'm fed. I'm hydrated. I'm on my way to something that I enjoy doing. Which is, like, speaking generally for you, hopefully, but for me, I'm going rock climbing because that's something that I enjoy doing. It's something that brings out that joy of living. That brings out, it's something that makes me, that requires, that asks my presence. I mean, if you think of any sports injury, I mean, most injuries is because we just weren't being fully present or mindful. Aside from bad habits. But, like, even then, not being present is kind of a bad habit. So it's all about you. It's all about the individual. Your parents or an authority figure isn't going to come in and say, "Hey, it looks like you need a break." Somebody, like an actual authority figure, like a manager or somebody, might be thinking that when they see you, and it's just not in the collective consciousness to be that empathetic witness for others. So we have to be the ones. We have to be the ones, essentially. If you're waiting for Superman, that's kind of like waiting for that authority figure is waiting for Superman. And so we have to be our own Superman, Superwoman, Wonder Woman, you know, Batman, whatever. And say, like, look in the mirror and be like, hey, you need to sit down and just breathe for a second. Set a timer on your phone for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, friggin' 20 minutes that you would have otherwise spent maybe scrolling social media or something, reactively eating because you just reached for something in the fridge or for some chips or something, some crisps. Set that timer on your phone and give yourself, that little bit of time today to just breathe, exhale deeply, let go a little bit, and then get right back at it.